So, Dasyang in pago is the conveyance of ownership of a thing by the debtor to creditor as an accepted equivalent or performance of a monetary obligations. Okay. And that is the legal basis for that, okay, when prestation may be substituted can be found in Article 1245. So Article 1245 says that the station in payment whereby property is alienated to the creditor in satisfaction of a debt in money shall be governed by the law of sale. So when we say station in payments, instead na pera yung ibibigay niya, property yung magiging substitution in payment thereof. So for example, yan, D owes C 15,000 pesos. So, dapat si D pala, dapat si D 15,000 pesos din yung ibabayad niya kay C. Pero to fulfill the obligation, D, with the consent, take note ha, indispensable requirement yung consent. With the consent of C, delivers a piano. So, in that case, nagkaroon ng dation in payment. Okay? So, but if the piano, for example, is yung worth niya is less than 15,000 pesos, then yung conveyance must be deemed to extinguish but only up to the extent of the value of the piano lang. Kung hindi siya umabot, kung yung value ng piano ay hindi naman 15,000 pesos, so yung balance yun, kailangan pa rin bayaran ni D. Pero kung yung agreement nila is yung delivery ng piano will totally extinguish the obligation or ang katumbas ng piano is the full payment of 15,000 pesos, whatever the value of the piano is, then the obligation will be extinguished. So, yun yung sa substitution through dation in payment. So, instead na pera, property yung nagiging payment, no, in substitution of money. And so again, obligations can be extinguished by payment or performance. So that's for number one. Another way of extinguishing obligation is by the loss of the thing due. And according to 1262, an obligation which consists in the delivery of a determinate thing shall be extinguished if it should be lost or destroyed without the fault of the debtor and before he has incurred delay. So take note that it is essential that the loss is without the fault of the debtor. So the loss may either be by reason of fortuitous event or due to the fault of a third person. So dun sa unang video, na-discuss na natin kung ano yung fortuitous event. So, basta kailangan yung loss of the tingzu, yung reason ng pagkawala niya or pagkasira niya is hindi siya kagagawan ni debtor. So, it could be by reason of fortuitous event or due to the fault of a third person para ma-extinguish yung obligation or ma-exempt si debtor sa liability. So, when we talk about loss, it does not only refer to the loss of the thing itself. Okay? Loss also includes the impossibility, could be physical or legal, of the performance. So therefore, there is loss when the object perishes, when it goes out of commerce, when it disappears in such a way that its existence is unknown, and kapag it cannot be recovered anymore. Okay? But this mode, take note, does not apply to obligations to deliver a generic thing. So it says here that loss as a mode of extinguishment of obligation is only applicable to obligation to deliver a determinate thing. Okay? So hindi pwede, hindi to mag-a-apply. Itong mode na to, itong by the loss of the thing, so hindi siya mag-a-apply kapag yung item is generic. Pwede lang siya kapag determinate or yung mga specific obligation. Okay? And it's important to remember that to be exempt from the liability by reason of fortuitous event naman, dapat the debtor, it's essential that the debtor must be free from any participation in or aggravation of the injury to the creditor. So, na-mention na rin natin yan dun sa naunang video. So, a typical example of this, no, yung sa mga fortuitous event na kailangan walang participation si debtor para hindi siya maging liable or para mag-apply itong mode na to of extinguishing the obligation. So, halimbawa, merong isang vessel carrying a particular cargo that has to be delivered on a particular date. However, on the day of delivery, a thunderstorm warning is given. But despite knowing this, bumiyahe pa din yung vessel carrying that cargo. And because of that, no, nung naglalayag sila, ayan na nga, dahil merong bagyo, may thunderstorm, so na-perish yung items, yung thing to be delivered. So kahit na yung reason is by reason of fortuitous event, di ba, natural calamity, dahil may participation yung owner of the vessel, no, in the first place, may knowledge siya and yet, sumuong pa din siya doon, then hindi siya ma-exempt sa liability. So, kailangan the debtor, para mag-apply itong mode na to, kailangan the debtor must be free from any participation in or aggravation of the injury to the creditor para extinguish yung obligation by reason of loss. So there are requisites para mag-apply ang loss as a mode of extinguishing the obligation. First is the loss occurs without the fault of the debtor. Yan, so na-mention na natin. Kailangan hindi siya yung reason kung bakit na-loss or na-destroy yung item at kung bakit hindi niya na yun ma-deliver. Number 2, the loss occurs prior to the debtor incurring delay. So meaning to say, hawak pa ni debtor yung thing that is due. Hindi pa siya due for delivery or hindi pa nag-i-incur ng delay. So pag hindi pa nag-i-incur ng delay, either hindi pa talaga time to deliver. So it's still in the possession of the debtor. So if the thing was lost in the possession of the debtor, the law presumed that the loss was due to his or her fault. Okay, the debtor's fault. But presumption lang naman yun. It can be overcome by providing proof that the debtor is not at fault. And yung presumption na yon na kapag hawak pa ni debtor, no, prior to the time of delivery, tapos dun siya nawala, presumption lang naman yon na si debtor is at fault. Pero hindi mag-a-apply yung presumption na yun kapag yung mga, if the loss is due to natural calamity like earthquake, flood, storm, etc. So for example, si A, nanghiram siya ng car kay B. So, nirentahan niya yung car nun. Nirentahan ni A yung car ni B. So, ngayon, bago dun sa date na napag-usapan nila kung kailan dadalhin ni B yung sasakyan, nawala yung car. Okay, while nakay B pa siya. So, B will be presumed at fault kasi nga, it's in his possession pa. Okay? Unless ma-prove niya that the loss is without his fault. Let's say, nagkaroon ng sunog sa bahay ni B, so yung presumption therefore is not applicable siya. But B can still prove na but si A can still prove na pwedeng liable pa rin naman si B. So anyway, it's a matter of proving na wala talagang fault si debtor doon sa pagkawala ng thing that is due. Okay? And number 3, there is no law holding the debtor liable in case of fortuitous event. So, meron kasing mga, example nito, itong sa number 3 is, syempre, kapag yung mga life insurance, yan. Kasi yung mga life insurance naman talaga, from its very nature, it assumes the nature of risk. So, yun naman talaga yung reason, di ba? Kaya, ina-avail ng mga tao yung mga products na yun, di ba? Kasi nga, because of unforeseen events, mga fortuitous event yan siya. So, hindi mag-a-apply yun, no, yung sa mga life insurance. Hindi mag-a-apply itong mga ganitong, itong mode na to. Okay? And kung meron ding mga cases kasi na kahit due to fortuitous event, if the losses na liable pa din, one good example nito is yung contract of carriage. Yan nga yung sa mga vessel, sa mga plane, 'di ba? Basta lahat ng mga carriage, no, yung mga transportation natin. No? So kahit merong mga fortuitous event yan, still, pwede pa rin maging liable dyan si debtor. Okay? Depende if there is a law saying that even though the case is due to fortuitous event, still, the debtor is liable. So kung meron mga ganong law, hindi mag-a-apply itong um, mode of extinguishing the obligation by loss of the thing due. Okay? So that's for the second mode of extinguishing obligation. Next is obligation can also be extinguished by the condonation or remission of the debt. So Article 1270, condonation or remission is essentially gratuitous and requires the acceptance by the obligor. It may be made expressly or impliedly. So condonation or remission is the gratuitous renunciation by creditor of his right against the debtor, resulting in the extinguishment of the latter's obligation. It is thus a form of donation. So when we say condonation or remission, it means si creditor, ina-abandon niya na yung right niya or inabandon niya na yung right niya to collect from debtor. For example, si A, may utang siya kay B na 1 million pesos payable on December 25, 2024. Comes December 25, 2024, B said to A, oh, wag mo nang bayaran yung utang mo na 1 million pesos. I'm condoning it. 'Di ba? So dahil kinundo na ni creditor, may extinguish na din yung obligation. So ito na siguro yung pinakamasayang mode of extinguishing the obligation, 'di ba? Mapapa-thank you ka na lang talaga kay creditor. So sabi dito, condonation or remission is also a form of donation. But there are requisites that has to be complied. First, it must be gratuitous. So pag sinabi natin gratuitous, walang kapalit na hinihingi. Okay? Yung pag-condone mo, wala siyang kapalit na hiningi. It's just like donation, 'di ba? Kasi kung meron yan, ay hindi, it will not form part. I mean, the condonation or remission will not apply. Okay? Kasi meron ka pa rin kailangang i-fulfill na obligation kung meron siyang kapalit. Okay? Number two, it must be accepted by the obligor. So sinabi na natin yan, 'di ba? Dahil nga it's also a form of donation, consent is very important. Okay? It's an indispensable requirement. Number three, the parties must have capacity. So, kailangan legal owner siya of the thing na kinokondone. Okay? So, yung capacity niya to give. So, hindi naman pwede na yung nagko-condone is hindi naman pala siya yung rightful owner of the thing. Okay? So, kailangan the parties must have the capacity. Number four, it must not be inofficious. Pag sinabi natin inofficious, dapat hindi siya excessive. Okay, kasi baka yung obligation na obligation ni debtor is yun na lang din naman pala yung natitirang asset ni creditor. So, dapat kung halimbawang ano yan, let's say, kinundon is amounting to 20 million pesos. So, yun na lang pala yung natitira niyang pera talaga. So, ngayon, dapat hindi ma-deprive yung mga compulsory heirs niya. Kasi kung maibabalik yun, tapos later on, di ba, pwede yun, mayroong right doon, no, yung mga compulsory heirs niya. So, dapat hindi ma-deprive yung mga compulsory heirs. So, and then, dito pumapasok yung phrase na, don't give more than what you can give. So, kailangan hindi siya inofficious. So, otherwise, pag ganun siya, pag inofficious siya, the court may actually reduce it. So, kailangan mag-iwan din si creditor para sa sarili niya to support himself. Kasi baka naman yung kinundo niya, parang wala na pala. Di ba? Yun na lang pala talaga yung natitira niyang um, asset. Okay? And number five, if made expressly, it must comply with the forms of donation. So, yan. So, merong form ang donation as prescribed by law. But again, condonation, di ba, sabi dun kanina, condonation, ay sorry. Yan. Condonation may be expressed or implied. Okay, pag express, kailangan i-follow niya yung form ni donation, the forms of donation. Pero if implied naman, it is governed by Article 1272 to 1274 of the Civil Code. So example ng mga implied condonation is kapag halimbawa yung private document na in-execute ni debtor saying na may utang siya kay creditor, di ba? Ideally, dapat hawak ni creditor yon. Okay, yung document na yon, yung katibayan na nagsasabi na si debtor ay may utang sa kanya na ganitong amount. So, kung halimbawang yung document na yon ay nasa kamay na ni debtor, that is an implication, di ba? Na si creditor, kinundo niya na yung obligation. That's an example of an implied condonation. Okay? Kasi dapat in the first place, kung gusto niya talagang singilin si debtor, hawak niya dapat yon. Kasi dapat later on, meron siyang evidence na may utang talaga sa kanya si debtor. Pero kung napunta na yung kay debtor, nasa kamay na ni debtor, it's an implied implication na kinondone na ni creditor, yung utang ni debtor. Another example ng implied condonation, halimbawa si A may utang siya kay B amounting to 1 million pesos. Tapos, dun sa utang niya na yon, merong naka-collateral na let's say isang sasakyan si A. So from that scenario, yung 1 million pesos, that is what we call the principal obligation. Okay, and then yung collateral na sasakyan, ang tawag dyan is the accessory obligation. So kapag kinundo ni A yung 1 million pesos, impliedly, kinukondo na rin ni, si B pala, si A pala yung may utang. So kapag kinundo na ni B yung 1 million pesos, or pag kinundo na ni creditor yung 1 million pesos, the implication is kinundo na rin ni B yung accessory obligation. Why? Because according to Article 1273 of the Civil Code, once na nagkaroon ng renunciation sa principal debt, may extinguish na din yung accessory obligation. Okay? So, syempre, kaya naman nagkaroon ng collateral kasi nga pang-suporta yun kung sakaling hindi mabayaran yung 1 million. Pero kung nabayaran na yung 1 million, wala na rin naman yung collateral. So, it's the same. Kapag kinondone ni creditor yung 1 million pesos, the principal obligation, kahit hindi niya i-condone yung collateral, automatic yon. So, that is what we call implied condonation. So, automatic, kinondone niya na rin yung accessory. Basta na-condone na ni creditor yung principal obligation. But take note na kapag yung accessory obligation lang yung winave ni creditor, in effect pa din yung principal obligation. So, doon sa scenario na yun, let's say, ang kinondone lang ni creditor is yung collateral na sasakyan. Diba? Na pag hindi niya nabayaran yung 1 million, hindi niya nakukunin yung sasakyan. Hindi ibig sabihin na yung 1 million pesos is kinokondone na rin niya. So, it does not follow, no? Na kapag winave yung accessory obligation, waive na rin yung principal obligation. No, hindi siya ganon. Pero kung yung principal yung winave, magpa-follow na yung accessory obligation ay winave na rin kahit hindi pa yon in-express ni creditor. So that is what we call implied condonation. Okay? So that's for the condonation or remission. Okay. Next mode to extinguish obligation is by the confusion or merger of the rights of creditor and debtor. So Article 1275 provides that the obligation is extinguished from the time the characters of creditor and debtor are merged in the same person. So rights are said to be merged when the same person who is bound to pay is also entitled to receive. So when we say confusion, it refers to the meeting in one person of the qualities of the creditor and debtor with respect to the same obligation. So, meaning to say that that one person became the debtor and creditor at the same time and to that very obligation involved. Okay, so yung obligation involved must be the same or identical. So, example, si A may utang siya kay B na 10,000 pesos with promissory note. Okay? So ngayon, itong si B, in-endorse niya yung promissory note kay C. Pag sinabi natin in-endorse yung promissory note, ibig sabihin si C, dahil siya na yung may hawak ng promissory note, pwedeng siya na yung mag-collect ng 10,000 pesos kay B. Okay? Kasi endorse na eh. Okay? Baka si B may utang kay C, kaya in-endorse na lang yung promissory note. So si C, siya na yung parang may right to collect the 10,000 pesos kay A. Ngayon, itong si C, bumili siya ng fruits sa store ni A na worth 10,000 pesos din. Pero wala siyang pera. Kaya ang ginawa ni C, in-endorse niya kay A yung promissory note na from the very beginning kay A naman nang galing. Okay? So, in that scenario, si A naging debtor and creditor din siya at the same time. So, in that sense na extinguish na yung obligation. Kasi ala ka namang bayaran niya pa yung sarili niya, sa kanya na nga yun. So, yung utang niya, parang siya na rin yung magbabayad. So, in that sense, extinguish na yung obligation. Okay? Okay. So, merong effects yan, no? Ito yung effects of merger and confusion. Pag nag-take place to, ito yung nagiging effect niya. So first, sabi nga natin, dahil isa nga siya sa mga ways or mode, one of the modes to extinguish the obligation. So basically, yung effect ng merger and confusion is that it extinguished the obligation. And then second, if there is guarantor and the merger is in the principal debtor, the obligation is extinguished and the guarantor is released. So meaning to say, dun sa utang, di ba yung example natin kanina? So kung halimbawa na merong guarantor dun sa agreement nila, so pag yung principal obligation or yung principal debtor na yon is siya din yung naging um, creditor, then basically, yung guarantor, marirelease na rin siya from the obligation. Okay? But number 3, sinasabi dito na if there is a guarantor and the merger is not on the principal debtor but only on the guarantor, the principal obligation is not extinguished but the accessory is extinguished. So na-mention natin to kanina dun sa isang dun sa condonation or remission. So, example, halimbawa si A, meron siyang utang na 1 million pesos kay B. Tapos, si C, may guarantor, si C. Okay? So, ngayon, ulitin ko, si A, meron siyang utang na 1 million pesos kay B. And then, merong guarantor nung utang, which is si C. So, itong si B is the creditor, di ba? So, siya yung dapat na bayaran ni A. So, ngayon, itong si B, si creditor, inassign niya yung credit na yon kay D. So, meaning to say, si D, dahil inassign niya kay D, si D na ngayon ang pwedeng mag-receive ng 1 million pesos. And then later on, itong si D, inassign niya ulit kay A yung credit. So therefore, si A being the principal debtor, okay, dahil bumalik lang din sa kanya, okay, siya na ngayon yung naging debtor and creditor at the same time, being the principal debtor. So syempre, marirelease na rin sa obligation si guarantor. Okay? So, the obligation must extinguish, including the obligation of C. Kung ano man yung mga obligation ni C as the guarantor. Okay? Kasi nga, yung principal obligation, yung na-merge. Okay? Pero kung yung credit was assigned to C, the guarantor, di ba? Kung halimbawa, si A may utang kay B na 1 million pesos and then si C yung guarantor. So, ang ginawa ni B, yung creditor, inassign niya yung credit kay C, the guarantor. Okay? So, dahil hindi naman si C yung principal debtor, the principal obligation of A will still subsist. Okay? Because only the accessory obligation was extinguished. So, yun yung difference. So, para mag-extinguish both yung principal and accessory, kailangan kay principal debtor ma-merge, no? yung pagiging debtor and creditor. Yan. And another example, yan, sa confusion naman. So, halimbawa, si A, may utang siya kay B, eh, let's say, may utang siyang 50,000 kay B. But later on, si A, pinakasalan niya si B. So in that sense, merong tinatawag na confusion of rights. And the debt is merged or extinguished. Okay? So sa confusion, wag kayong ma-confuse, no? Kasi iba yung tinutukoy na confusion of rights in law. Confusion of rights in law is when two separate things become one. So ito yung mga effects ng merger and confusion. And again, this is one way to extinguish the obligation. Another way to extinguish obligation is by compensation. So Article 1278 says that compensation shall take place when two persons in their own right are creditors and debtors of each other. So compensation is a mode of extinguishing to the concurrent amount the obligation of persons who in their own right as principal are reciprocally debtors and creditors of each other. So pag yung dalawang parties, no, naging creditor and debtor ng bawat isa, then compensations take place. Compensation takes place. So example, si A meron siyang utang kay B na 5,000 pesos. And then in another transaction, si B meron din siyang utang kay A na 5,000 pesos din. So, 'di ba? So, naging creditor and debtor sila ng isa't isa. Si A may utang kay B na 5,000 pesos, tapos sa isang transaction si B may utang din kay A na 5,000 pesos. So, assuming that both debts are due and demandable. So, mag-a-apply na yung compensation. Kumbaga, quits na sila kasi pareho naman silang creditor and debtor ng isa't isa. Pero kung halimbawang hindi same or hindi identical yung amount, 'di ba? Kaya sabi dito, to the concurrent amount. So, kung halimbawang si A, may utang siya kay B na 5,000 pesos. And then in another transaction, si B may utang naman siya kay A na 4,000 pesos. So dito, sa scenario na yon, partial lang yung extinguishment ng obligation. So magkakaroon pa rin ng, mag-a-apply pa rin yung compensation. Pero liable pa din si A dun sa amount na 1,000 pesos. Kasi yung utang niya kay B, 5,000, tapos yung utang naman ni B sa kanya is 4,000 pesos lang. So, partial lang yung extinguishment. So, but take note that in compensation, sa compensation, hindi allowed ang compensation sa tax. Okay? So, a taxpayer cannot offset taxes due from the claims that he may have against the government. Okay? So, hindi pwede na sasabihin ni taxpayer na, ay, meron. Diba? You remember yung sa case ng Rami Textiles, diba? So, hindi pwede na sasabihin ni taxpayer na, ay, meron akong naibayad na buwis na hindi ko naman dapat bayaran. So, yun na lang, i-offset na lang, 'di ba? By means of compensation. So hindi mag-a-apply yung compensation sa tax because taxes cannot be the subject of compensation because the government and taxpayer are not mutually creditors and debtors of each other. So wala sila sa position of yung government at saka taxpayer, hindi creditor and debtor yung relationship nila. Okay? And yung tax, hindi naman siya yung it's not a form of debt that has to be offset or set off, 'di ba? Kaya hindi siya allowed na i-offset yung tax, 'di ba? Kaya dun sa Rami Textiles, if you can see, dahil merong special law na nag-govern sa tax, kung halimbawa nakapagbayad ka ng tax pero hindi dapat, merong prescribe procedure kung paano mo makiklaim yung binayad mo na yon, 'di ba? At merong period kung hanggang kailan mo siya dapat ma-claim. So kapag hindi mo siya i-claim, ma-forfeit yun at hindi mo siya pwedeng i-offset na yun na lang ipapambayad sa mga susunod na taon, no, na kailangan mo magbayad ng tax. So, hindi mag-a-apply ang compensation sa tax. Okay? So, yung difference between confusion and compensation is that in confusion, take note, there is only one person and one obligation. Kumbaga, yung debtor si debtor, siya lang din yung naging creditor. Pero dito sa compensation, there are two persons and there are two obligations as well. So, the creditor and debtor becomes the creditor and debtor of each other. Pero sa confusion, only one person. Siya lang din yung creditor at the same time siya din yung debtor. Okay, so that's a difference between compensation and confusion. Okay, the last mode for extinguishing obligation is by novation. Okay, so Article 1291 says that obligations may be modified by, number one, by changing their object or principal conditions. Number two, by substituting the person of the debtor. Number three, by subrogating a third person in the rights of the creditor. So novation is the extinguishment of obligation by the substitution or change of the obligation by a subsequent one which extinguishes or modifies the first. So, dual yung function ng novation. So, yung dalawa yung function is that yung original obligation is na-extinguished and then a new obligation is created. So, in order that novation can take place, the concurrence of the following requisites is indispensable. So, first, the existence of a previous valid obligation. So there must be a previous valid obligation. Second, the intention and capacity of the parties to extinguish or modify the obligation. So there must be an agreement between the parties concerning the new obligation. So kailangan may consent both parties, and that is again an indispensable requirement. Number three, there must be the extinguishment of the obligation. Yan. So, kailangan i-extinguish nila yung old contract nila. And number four, the creation or birth of a valid new obligation. So, kailangan yung bagong obligation ay valid siya. So, to make it simple, when we say novation, magbigay na lang tayo ng example. So, halimbawa si A, in-oblige na yung sarili niya to give a Toyota Vios car to B. So, meron silang valid agreement, okay? And the obligation is also valid. So, but eventually, they both agree na i-extinguish yung original obligation and i-change yung object from Toyota Vios car to Toyota Fortuner. So, yun yung example ng novation. So, na-extinguish yung una pero nag-create ng panibagong obligation. So, to make it simple, when we say novation, it means nagkakaroon ng extinguishment. That's why it's still a mode of extinguishing an obligation. So, nagkakaroon ng extinguishment ng obligation doon sa original or previous valid obligation. Kasi nga, both parties decided to substitute or replace it with new obligation. Okay? But ang kailangan tandaan dito sa novation, the parties to the contract must expressly agree that they are abrogating their old contract in favor of a new one. So, yung consent ng parties is an indispensable requirement. Hindi pwedeng isa lang yung nag-decide. Okay? So, na-mention din natin yan before, di ba, dun sa mga, lalo na kapag yung obligation is specific or determinate, di ba? So, without the consent of the other party, hindi pwedeng i-substitute or palitan ni debtor yung i-deliver niya. Yan. So, these are the different modes to extinguish an obligation according to 1231 of the Civil Code. So, to recap, these are by payment or performance, by the loss of the thing due, by the condonation or remission of the debt, by the confusion or merger of the rights of creditor and debtor, by compensation, and lastly, by novation. Ayan. So, I think mahaba na yung video natin. That's the coverage of for this video. So, please study well because itong mga topics na to will be included in your final exam. So, that would be all. Thank you and have a great day.